Battlefield Pro Wrestling fan. Thank you for joining us for the BPW podcast, episode number 3. As promised, joining us today, SEAN MALUTA. This is a special podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because our first show, Outbreak, just took place this past Saturday, June the 20th in Pleasant Valley. And I'll tell you what, folks, I'm surprised we didn't get a bill from the school for roof repairs because the building was rocking. The first show was a great success. The fans loved it. The wrestlers put on great performances from bell to bell as promised, and you can look forward to the next show in the upcoming weeks. Please stay tuned to our Facebook page and also our website, BattlefieldProWrestling.com. As always, I am your host, Big Joe Machesko, the voice of the pro wrestling fan. And now I'm going to bring SEAN on the line. SEAN, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Big Joe. Thanks a lot for having me.
It is my pleasure, SEAN. Now, we wanted to get this podcast set up because you are always going to have a special place in BPW history. You wrestled in the very first match that BPW ever had. How much does that mean to you as an up-and-comer in the wrestling world?
It means everything to me. I mean, last Saturday at BPW, the first event, it really was an amazing experience. And to be able, to kick off the show and kind of set the tone, it's just a big honor and a privilege, to be honest with you. I'm happy I got the opportunity, and happy I got the chance to perform. And I also want to shout out my cousin Alpha, who did a hell of a job. It's definitely not easy running shows, and it's not easy putting an entertaining product out there from start to finish. But in my heart, at least he did it. And it's like you said. I mean, the history will always be there. Starting off the first BPW event ever. I mean, man, it's just really such an honor. And to go out there with Nick Nero was another amazing talent in my eyes. It was just real special to be out there and kind of set the tone for the night and to kick things off and to start the rebirth of pro wrestling.
I agree, and you did mention, big shout out to your cousin Alpha. We all owe BPW to him. So Alpha, from all of us on the BPW staff, thank you for allowing us to be a part of what's going to be a history-making company. And you mentioned, kicking things off with Nick Nero, and he is a talented wrestler, but he has a horrible attitude about him. He comes out with the megaphone. He's kind of arrogant. He's not very fan-friendly. When you were wrestling Nick in this match, what drove you to make sure that you did not get pinned by him?
Well, like I said, he really is an amazing talent. At the end of the day, I don't really appreciate his cocky attitude. I don't really appreciate, him coming out there with his megaphone and, yelling at the fans and whatnot. But, I can't take anything away from his skills. And, I think what really kind of helped me out is I've actually wrestled Nick Nero, tens and almost like 20 times. And I'm very familiar with him, so a lot of things that he was doing in there, I was able to counter that. A lot of things I was trying to do, he was able to counter me. So you really have to, play it smart. Especially when you're going in there with somebody. You can't slip up, more than once, or he's going to get you. And that's how I felt. At the end of the day, I feel very comfortable with the savate kick, putting anybody down. And that's exactly what happened at the end, I believe Nick Nero went for a high-risk moonsault, and I was able to counter that. And then before you know it, I got the 1, 2, 3. So, wrestling Nero is always fun. I really think he does have an attitude problem. He needs to be somebody needs to put him in check, And But as far as the match goes, I couldn't have picked a better opponent.
It was very entertaining, and being that you guys do have some history, maybe not so much up here in Pennsylvania yet, but you could definitely tell there was a lot of reversals, a lot of counters and things like that. So I definitely see, what you're saying, having that history, like any good rivalry has. And of course, the end of the match, that Savate did come out of nowhere and really caught him off guard, and that's what ultimately put him out. Now, take us through the match a little bit here, because in the beginning, it was kind of a feeling out process. You guys were countering back and forth with some different arm locks and headlocks and things like that. Then it seemed like you actually got the upper hand a little bit. You hit a huge flipping senton over the ropes to the outside. At what point did you decide it was time to take a risk like that?
Well, high flying has always been a part of my arsenal, and I enjoy flying. And it's just one of those things where you always have to do it at the right time. You can't just go out there and flip around. I mean, I saw my opportunity when I saw Nero go out to the floor, and I don't know if he was hurting. I don't know if he was stalling a little bit, but I saw my opportunity to fly, and you don't gotta, I don't second guess myself. I don't think twice when it comes to things like that. So I saw the opportunity, and it's always fun doing things that can take your opponent out and also be so entertaining to the people. I mean, let's face it. Everybody who watches wrestling, I mean, you have to love a little bit of high flying, in my opinion. And anytime I get a chance to do that, man, it's fun for me. It's fun for the fans. And it's just like I said, I saw the opportunity and I took it.
Right. I mean, well, those are those holy crap moments for us. I mean, I saw it live, and I really was concerned for not only Nick Nero, but for yourself as well. They call it high risk for a reason, and
right.
You guys hit like a ton of bricks. But I believe, that was definitely one thing that really, weakened him and, helped you get the win in the end. Now, moving forward into the match, after that, it seems like Nero actually started getting the upper hand, and he was kind of wearing you down a little bit. At any point during him, having control, were you worried that you might not be able to finish him?
Well, I was never worried about that. The part that really kind of, took me off guard was, I believe after I hit the dive on him, I rolled him in the ring, and I saw him grab his megaphone again and go to hit me with it. And that's something I don't expect from Nick Nero. I expect his skills to carry himself and not to resort to something like that. So basically I was able to counter that and not get hit with it, because that would have been a disqualification right there. And I picked it up, and the referee, before I can even do anything, the referee snatched it out of my hands. And the way he snatched it out of my hands, it kind of turned my body, and it kind of took me off guard. And then Nero hit me with a big roaring elbow, bam. So I go down, and that roaring elbow is no joke. I mean, you get hit in the mouth like that, it's gonna knock you a little bit. And so he was able to take control after that. And I kind of expect that from him too. I knew it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. And I knew, I don't take anybody lightly in there, especially not him. So it's just one of those things that, I got knocked a little bit, and he was able to take the upper hand. But, like I said, when I saw the opportunity to take back over and to counter what he was doing, or if he was missing something, that's when your knowledge and your brain really plays a factor into this. And so obviously I was happy I was able to get back up on him, because if I didn't, then who knows what the result would have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from watching it and the way that you just instinctively moved around the ring, you had the wherewithal to land the savate kick, and I don't think there's anybody in the business that's going to wake up from that. If they do, all the power to them. But I knew that was, pretty much the end for Nick Nero. But I'm not going to lie to you, Sean. There was a point where, Nero, especially, he hit the flipping senton on the apron, and I thought that he might have gotten the victory if things would have continued going his way. But, you countered the moonsault off of the top, which, was a big turning point. And thankfully for us, as the fans, we were, able to cheer you on to potential inevitable victory. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. We have a word from our sponsors coming up here. I'll be back to wrap things up with the king of the savate kick, Sean Maluta.
So you're still looking for a photographer for your important event. Check it out. SK Productions LLC is all about video and photography. We're located in Northeast Pennsylvania and can handle weddings, sporting events, business events, proms, music videos, birthday parties.
I think they get the idea.
For your video and photography needs, head over to skproductions.com. That's skproductions.com. SK Productions with a Z.com.
Wild Samoan Training Center at WXWC4 headquarters, located at 309 East Hamilton Street, Allentown, Pennsylvania, 18109. The Wild Samoan Training Center has been a staple in pro wrestling for many decades and has produced some of the best athletes and wrestlers to grace the ranks of sports entertainment. Now, with their own brand, WXWC4's Blast TV, on the rise. Talent from all over has been clamoring to be a part of the new explosive era. WXWC4 Blast TV, on Service Electric Cable, Friday, 10 p.m., Channel 50, and on Blue Ridge Cable, Saturday, 1 p.m., Channel 13. For any questions, or even to buy a ticket to one of WXWC4's explosive shows, head over to the WXWC4 store at www.wxwc4.com. One more time, that's www.wxwc4.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Samoan Storm Alpha Jr. talking, and I want to tell you about one thing, and that is on August the 8th, the 6th annual Big Dog Daddy Fest is returning to Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania, and this year, as always, it's to benefit the Gift of Life and the National Kidney Foundation. So if you're not doing anything on that date, August the 8th, come on by the Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania at the Jefferson Township Fire Company and enjoy some fun, enjoy some good food, and enjoy the Gift of Life, brought to you by the Big Dog Daddy Fest.
BPW fans, we are back with this third podcast with Sean Maluta here. And for those of you that don't know, you might not be familiar too much with Sean up here in Pennsylvania. But Sean is actually, through marriage, a member of the Anawahi family, and also the Wild Samoan WWE Hall of Famer is actually his uncle. So we know he has the pedigree, he has the best training in the business, and also Sean is a trained martial artist, so that definitely translates into the ring as well. Hence the deadly finisher, the savate kick, that he utilizes. And you do not want to miss any more of his matches if you weren't able to make it out on June the 20th. I know that the Battlefield Pro Wrestling DVDs will be on sale very soon, so you will get to see Nick Nero versus Sean Maluta at Pleasant Valley High School, but make sure you get out to see him at the next show. And as I said before, stay tuned on the web for further details of upcoming dates. Now, Sean, that's a little bit about you, but I want to ask you, growing up in this family, the Anawahi dynasty, there has to be a lot of pressure on you, in addition to what you feel normally from the matches you go out into. What was it like on the plane ride up from Florida, where you currently reside with Uncle Afa? What were you feeling knowing that you're going to be a centerpiece for this promotion?
Well, first of all, it was great traveling with my Uncle Afa because obviously he was part of the show as well. So anytime I get to do that, that's awesome. It was just a lot of excitement going into this whole trip here, man. It's I'm based out of Florida. I wrestle for my Uncle Afa at WXW, so I don't really get a whole lot of opportunities to come up here and do things like this, and to be a part of the first show of anything and the first match of the first show of anything. What else can you say? So it kind of speaks for itself. But it was just a lot of excitement, man. I was really excited to mix it up with different members of the roster here. I really think we have a phenomenal roster right off the bat for our first show. The talent is there. I mean, we had guys from that you might notice from TV back then, and it was a great mix of old school and new school and a lot of talent in between. So I already knew that I was going to be wrestling Nick Nero, and that's always fun to me. So it was just a lot of excitement to do that on a different platform this time, because, at the end of the day, this is Battlefield Pro Wrestling. And it was also important to me to wrestle for the fans up there because Pennsylvania is where I started. I started in the Allentown area. And those fans have always been great to me my whole career. So, it was cool going up there and seeing a lot of familiar faces, and I'm sure there's a lot of new faces too. That it's just great to leave an impression like that, and it's great to show my skills off. And I'm looking forward to many more events and many more opportunities in the future.
That's really good to hear. As far as myself, like I said, being the voice of the pro wrestling fan, I have been watching pro wrestling. It's been a very big part of my life since I'm 3 years old, as far as I can remember. Just people either understand this lifestyle or they don't. No matter if you're a fan, if you work in the office at a company, or you're a wrestler yourself, this really engulfs you, and it's something that you're passionate about. And when we see good wrestling, like we saw Saturday at Battlefield, it just makes me very happy because it's close to home for us, and we've been just wanting pro wrestling back. We want wrestling back, and we finally got it. Now, yourself, obviously a fan favorite. The crowd loves you. The kids were into it. Don't want to get you in trouble, but some of the girls were into you too. I noticed that. So being that fan favorite, who are you aiming at next for the upcoming Battlefield shows? Who would you like to take on and maybe knock down a peg? Because like Nick Nero, there's a lot of other guys that also think very highly of themselves, I'm sure.
Right. Well, like I said, man, it's from top to bottom. I think our roster was amazing. I think Afa Jr. did a really good job of sorting that out, and I'm sure the roster's only going to get better. I'm sure there's only going to be more names, only more talent to come through. But me personally, I thought it was really cool that Homicide, of all people, got to commentate my match. Obviously he was out there commentating the whole show, and which you can see on the DVD. But Homicide, I've always been a fan of his work, man, and he's one of those inspirations for me. So I heard he was going through a little bit of an injury, and surgery and rehabbing and things like that. So I'm sure when he's healthy, he's going to be a part of this because he's a hell of a talent. So I would definitely love to mix up with him one day. that would be really cool for me. You also had Black Fees over there, Sabian, who wrestles consistently up in the PA area. And, another talented guy. I thought the British Wolf did his thing, and I would love to mix it up with him. Brandon Scott, who, I might not appreciate his personality, but, he can definitely handle himself in the ring. The talent is there, Big Joe, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd love to get in there with Carlito. I'd love to get in there with Kurt Hawkins. I mean, that's how highly I think of our roster. There's not anybody in there that I wouldn't love to mix it up with and see what happens. But like I said, off the top of my head, Homicide and Black G's, those would be some great opponents for me to look forward to.
Definitely a talented roster, very diverse. We couldn't emphasize that enough in the first two podcasts. Everyone that you mentioned, Homicide, of course, the British Wolf, definitely a big up-and-comer in this business. Black G's, Brandon Scott, he took Wolf to the limit. That match could have gone either way, but as you mentioned, the thing with Brandon Scott was, it's kind of like Nick Nero. He's all about himself. He doesn't care about the fans. He's very arrogant. He's cocky. He just goes out there with that persona that he's the best, and he ended up actually dropping his first ever Battlefield Pro Wrestling match to the British Wolf. I'll tell you what, Big Joe. He's got a big mouth, but I got a big savate kick for him anytime he's ready. That's awesome. I think I don't know how he's going to respond to that. I mean, Brandon, I'm sure, will be coming up, and he'll be wanting an interview, especially now after that little shout out there. So that's a match that any fan would want to see. I know I'd be excited for it. But wow, yeah, good to see that you're not really, weary of anybody on the roster. I mean, looks like you're ready to battle anybody. And, in the upcoming months here, we are going to be crowning a champion and things like that. There's going to be tournaments, and you're most definitely going to be a part of all that. So, nothing but big things on the horizon for Battlefield Pro Wrestling. Yep. Now, Sean, I just want to leave the fans with something from you. What is your message to them? How can they get in contact with you? And why should they come out to see you at our next show?
Well, once again, if you don't know my name is Sean Maluta. And I'm here in BPW to basically show the world what I'm capable of. The opportunity that my cousin Alpha gave to me, I just want to thank him again for giving me this platform. And I'm going to keep giving the fans what they want because, I've been watching wrestling all my life. I've watched good wrestling. I've watched bad wrestling. I've watched wrestling in between. And it really is all about making the fans happy and making the fans want to come back to see us in action. And I just want to let the fans know that, I'm never going to let them down when it comes to that. I'm always going to go out there and give it 100%. I'm always going to try to get the win, and I'm always going to try to do it in an entertaining fashion. I'm not just a high flyer, Big Joe. I'm going to take them to flight school. I'm going to take them to flight school and back. And you mentioned my martial arts background. I mean, I'm gonna keep kicking, and that's a savate kick. And I just hope whoever gets hit with that savate kick, I just hope that they wake up. But once again, I am the king of the savate kick. You'll never see a super kick out of me. And I just want the fans, to really enjoy what's going on here. I mean, Battlefield Pro Wrestling is changing the game, and you just got to join the movement. You guys out there want to follow me at Savate Kick on Twitter, at Savat Kick on Instagram. You can type in Sean Maluta on Facebook to see everything what's going on, where I'm going to be at. And, you know, I'm just very, very excited for the future. And, man, judging by this first show, things are looking up. So I'm just very excited to be a part of things.
Yes, I agree, and we're definitely, you know, very fortunate to have you on board, to have you as part of this roster. The fans have a lot to look forward to from the show-stealing, Savat-kicking Sean Maluta. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, good job, good job.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the BPW podcast, Sean. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and hey, I look forward to doing it again.
Hey, the pleasure was all mine. Thanks a lot, Big Joe, and hope to see the BPW fans very soon.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that is it. That is our interview with Sean Maluta, one of the best up-and-coming pro wrestlers on the circuit. If you missed your chance to see him live this past June the 20th, make sure you stay tuned to the website, BattlefieldProWrestling.com, or on Facebook and Twitter. Our pages, make sure, because they will be updated as soon as we get event information up and running. You are not going to want to miss this young fellow in action. See it for yourself live at Battlefield Pro Wrestling. Signing off for BPW Podcast number 3, I am the voice of the pro wrestling fan, Big Joe Machesko. Stay tuned for episode number 4.